Hi everyone, I'm Amanda here from the CDHB. I work in mental health services, um, and I'll just have a quick presentation because I know that we're overdue for morning tea. I kind of did a couple, just what we normally see in the CDHB. Obviously we're not actually a family violence organisation and directed that way, but as the Ministry of Health see, family violence is a huge health issue within our community. And so I kind of wrote a few things about what typical cases we might have come through our door, which is around mental health and and physical health. The top one was, I don't know if you can read it because it's quite some way away, but a woman is dropped off to an emergency department at 1:30 a.m. in the morning. She's assessed as showing signs of assault. She is cagey and quiet and leaves the ED without medical clearance before the social worker arrives. And records show she has 3 children. That's kind of a typical presentation perhaps at our ED department. A woman's dropped off. Maybe her partner's made a threat. The children are in the car. You might not see them again if you disclose. She's scared and she's hurt. Sort of something from our emergency department. What we find is that in my position, I work right across mental health, and I see clients adults who have family violence and drug and alcohol issues in their lives. We try and intervene. We're thinking about child protection. If things don't happen, a couple years later or a year later, we have a child turn up. 14-year-old girl presents to ED following a suicide attempt. On gathering family history, her family tells us she runs away often, and grandparents tell us she's witnessed family violence between her parents and alcohol abuse over many years. That's the next cycle. Really sad. And we see that over and over again. And if you read many of our clients' notes in mental health, which I do constantly, what I see over and over again is the effect of family violence on people's health, and no doubt mental health. I won't go through all of these. So violence and abuse cause significant harm to the mental and physical health of victims. People who are victimised use health services at least 3 times as much as people who aren't experiencing family violence. 1 in 4 women presenting to the emergency department may be victims of abuse, and as many as 1 in 6 pregnant women may be victims of abuse, and partner abuse may sometimes begin during pregnancy. And mental health effects of victimisation include depression, anxiety, and alcohol and drug use. So I guess while we're not, first line of family violence organisations, what we see and what we deal with has lots of things to do with family violence. When we think about an iceberg, I guess, as a metaphor for, we see the top of the iceberg often, the deaths from family violence. Is the multiple injuries in hospital we also see. ED attendance and mental health and general practice presentations are there, and sometimes we don't know that what we're actually seeing is family violence, but really that's the cause. And underneath that is the minor injury, somatic symptoms, depression and anxiety. Of course, it's very hard to be mentally well when you're being victimised, and very hard to be mentally and physically well when you've got a history of family violence. The Ministry of Health are really motivated to make a change, and I guess if we all stand together against family violence to make a change, then hopefully we will. We're a large force, health workers. I think over the country there might be 3,000 SIFS workers and 40,000 or 30,000 health workers. The Ministry of Health has started something called the Violence Intervention Program, or VIP program, where mental or health workers will be asking every woman who we see in health services, are they a victim of family violence? I don't know if anyone here has been asked if you've ever gone into the emergency department or had maternity services recently. Hopefully, whatever you're presenting with, you'll be asked, have you been a victim of family violence, or has anyone hurt you in the last 12 months? We're doing that, I guess, for early intervention, and this has somewhat an international and national type procedure, but they've found through lots of research that women are more likely to tell a health worker than a police officer or maybe a SIFS worker. And if they're asked in a safe, non-threatening environment in the context of a health assessment, they're more likely to disclose. And once they have disclosed, we have in place procedures and protocols around referring to police, SIFS and refuges as appropriate. And we aim for early intervention and minimising the negative effects of family violence on society. All of our health practitioners, hopefully over time, we've got a workforce here of I think 3,000 practitioners, will have minimum standards of professional knowledge about family violence, which includes 8 hours of training, which would mean 4 hours of child abuse and neglect and 4 hours training in partner abuse. So it's quite an exciting and time-consuming initiative that's has just started here in the CDHB over the last couple of years, but has been national for quite some years, and it is a very well researched and thought of program. So just a quick overview of our services. At the Christchurch Public Hospital, we've got the VIP training well underway, and the Women's Screen for Family Violence and many services, including ED. We contract with women's refuges to attend ED in hospital or do a phone assessment as needed for women who are presenting. We have social workers trained in responding to family violence available to assist with family violence disclosures in cases where family violence is suspected. And we have a team of dedicated workers for the Child and Family Safety Service who coordinate and oversee family violence referrals. So they kind of coordinate all the referrals about family violence and child abuse coming out of the whole hospital, and they have meetings and stuff. So at Mental Health Services, I'm the Child and Family Safety Coordinator, and it's only just me working part-time, so I try and oversee all the referrals coming out of mental health. That's kind of a bit of a challenge, but I do make an effort to get around. I give training and work with police and SIFs on cases. And I find that when we do all work together, we have some really great results, which is exciting. And I'm also part of the Family Violence Roundtable, which has also been great learning and networking, and we do get some good results. Within mental health services, we have child and adolescent services, otherwise known as CAF. You can ring this CAF link service at any time if you're worried about the well-being of a child and mental health well-being of a child. They'll give you advice. We mainly take children, of course, with moderate to severe mental illness or addictions, but anyone can ring if you're concerned about the mental health of a young person. If you do meet the criteria for a young person with moderate to severe mental illness, will generally now be seen within 4 weeks. I know in the past some of our waiting lists have been quite long. We're trying to change that within child and family services. We also now have a CAF emergency service, which wasn't around before. So in the past, children and young person would end up talking to our normal PES service. Now we have a CAF service that runs from 9 to 5 during the day, which is, I think, making a big difference with clinicians who specifically work with young people. Adult services are assessed via psychiatric emergency service, or you can also go to adult single point of entry SPOE if things aren't as urgent. Generally, we don't take self-referrals, but family or individuals are very welcome to ring us. Sometimes, but any agency can refer to our service. So if you believe your client needs a mental health assessment, then you can ring and talk to us about that. Mostly we get GP referrals, but we also accept referrals from other professionals. And I think that was me. So I hope, thanks very much, and enjoy your morning tea.